Dear colleagues, thank you very much for the invitation to this international conference, and thank you very much for the kind introduction of our small study group. I would like to begin my presentation the plan of the Roman Imperial free election and trade city Frankfurt on the Main and surroundings by Johann Rochester, published by the Jägerische Bookstore in 1792 in order to show you the area that developed into a Jewish space over the course of the 19th century. First, I hope you can see my, works. You see the sharp, clear demarcation, the wall around the city, and you see the fields and vineyards outside. Here you see the Pfingstweide, that's the zoo today. Here's the River Main, of course. And we have to concentrate on this region of this part in the eastern part of Frankfurt. Inside the walls, you can see, so I didn't make it better readable, but this lane is the Judengasse. Now, we take a leap in time to the year 1864 and can already see multi-story houses here, and villas in midst of spacious English-style gardens. As a result of the great influx of persecuted Jews from Russia and the arrival of Jews from rural areas, the east of Frankfurt, later known as Oostend, experienced a significant growth in population. To give you some figures. Beginning at the end of the 18th century, Jews experienced more freedom, which lasted for several decades, being allowed to live outside the ghettos and receiving more civil rights. It is understandable that Jewish families who had lived in the city center did not want to move far away from essential services as synagogues, schools, or hospitals. Whereas approximately 16,000 persons lived in Eastend in 1895, of which 25% were Jews. In 1910, we have already approximately 25,000 persons, of which 21% were Jews. These figures do not adequately portray the reality of the area, since there were streets in which 60% and more Jews lived. Roederbergweg, the street that I will focus on, had 28% Jewish residents in 1910. The majority of the poor Jews who moved to Frankfurt lived here in the south west. Here is the Roederbergweg. You see, it's not so crowded. Oh, sorry. Most of the Jews lived here in this area, and the predecessors of the institutions that later settled in Roederbergweg were located in this area. So jetzt. Inspired by the religious commandments of the Tzedakah, important institutions providing social and health care were founded in the Roederbergweg from 1878 to 1907, donated by wealthy Jewish families. In order to understand this better, it is important to note that beginning in the middle of the 19th century, a new religious movement called neo-orthodoxy developed. Its followers organized themselves in the Israelite Religious Society. However, within the original Jewish congregation, there was also an Orthodox wing. With only one exception, all the institutions presented here were established by members of the Israelite Religious Society. That is, they were a manifestation and expression of neo-Orthodoxy. Most prominent among the benefactors are Mathilde von Rothschild and Wilhelm Karl von Rothschild. In the city map of 1914, these institutions are strung out like pearls. You see Roederbergweg, and the institutions are like pearls on a string. We followed the development of the east of Frankfurt from vineyards to villas to the formation of a Jewish space by consulting a series of city maps. How did these institutions develop over time, resulting in the ensemble, which you can see in this slide? The developments began with the Hospital of Georgine Sarah von Rothschild Foundation, located at Roederbergweg 93 to 97. Wilhelm Karl von Rothschild and Mathilde von Rothschild donated the house in honor of the daughter, Georgine Sarah von Rothschild, who died 1869, just 17 years old. The first location in 1870 was at Unterweg 20, but this was soon too small. The hospital was then built on the property at Roederbergweg 97, comprised of 4,500 square meters, and a doctor's building was erected at Roederbergweg 93. The architect was Christ Franz von Hoven, 1842 to 1924, who was also involved in the construction of the Senckenberg Museum and the Bürger Hospital in Frankfurt, both in 1908. After the death of the founder Mathilde von Rothschild in 1924, the function of patron was taken over by her son-in-law, Maximilian von Goldschmidt-Rothschild, and her daughter Adelheid Rothschild. In 1931-32, they financed the renovation and modernization of the house. The renovation was carried out by diploma engineer Fritz Nathan, 1891 to 1960, a Jew who also worked for Ernst May within the framework of the city planning program known as New Frankfurt. Another story was added to the building. An X-ray department was added. 2 operating rooms were built on the first floor and plumbing was modernized. If you are interested in further information, I can recommend the website of the Leo Baeck Institute, where you can see detailed plans of the renovation and lots of photos. In 1886, the Mathilde von Rothschild Children's Hospital followed in Roederbergweg 109, that is northeast, right next to the just mentioned Rothschild Hospital for Adults. Unfortunately, no pictures of this building have been found to date. However, there's a plan on which it is possible to see relationships between the properties. You see here, it started with the hospital for the adults, the doctor's house, and here the children's hospital. Here around were houses for the personnel. This children's hospital, under religious management, provided free nursing care and nutrition for poor Jewish children. The next social and nursing care institution followed 1890 at Roederbergweg 77. the Israelite Charitable Institution, an elders' home. The institution had originated in 1845, built by the Israelite Religious Society on Rechneigraben Street. That's this crowded area I showed some slides before. The new building was financed by Mathilde and Wilhelm Karl von Rothschild. The Israelite Central News Organ for Orthodox Jews wrote on July 4th, 1887, I quote, "On one of the most airy and nicest places in our city, the Roederberg, Jewish hospitals are found. The one, the Georgine Sarah von Rothschild Hospital, a beautiful building in simple, elegant style, you saw it on the slides. The other, an unpretentious house located in a splendid garden that serves as a children's hospital. The good experiences herewith, due in part to the favorable location, will soon give rise to a further institution devoted to the care of those in our community in need of treatment and respite. The Israelite Charitable Institution, which until now has been located in an old, rather dark house on Wollgraben, will be relocated into a new space on Roederberg." End of quote. Here we can see that, at least in this case, the existing houses encouraged the founding of others. In 1891, the new building of the primary school, the Volksschule, followed at Roederbergweg 29. Since 1882, it had been located at the corner of Schützen Street and Rechneigraben Street in this very crowded area. In this case, the Israelite Religious Society called for donations. The new school was also supported by benefactors and members of the Rothschild family. The opening of the primary school in 1891 in Roederbergweg 29 did not mark the end of the founding of Jewish welfare organizations, all of which contributed to the creation of this unique Jewish space. In 1903, the Israelite Orphans' Home was opened at Roederbergweg 87, which had taken in orphans from 1876 in the Ulan Street and then from 1882 in the Seiler Street. The new building at Roederbergweg 87 was financed by Mathilde von Rothschild, and its upkeep was managed by her daughter. Just an overview. You know this slide already. We have the Rothschild Hospital. We have here the Orphans' Home. I hope you can see my pointer. Yes, the Orphans' Home is here. The primary school is here. And the Charitable Institution is here. Now, on the other side of the street, opposite to the Charitable Institution, the new building for Gumpert's Infirmary. Here is the new building, rather big one. Here is an older building called the Villa. The new building for the Gumpert's Infirmary was erected in 1907. In 1888, Betty Gumpert had already founded a facility in memory of her son and her husband for the care of sick, old, and handicapped persons. In 1898, the foundation could purchase a large piece of property, including a villa at Roederbergweg, 62 to 64. This plot, which could be converted into a hospital. Unfortunately, we don't have a photo from this beginning, but we have a photo from 1975, as you can see at the Volkswagen in front of it. On this large piece of property, the new construction, that's this building, was realized with the support of Mathilde von Rothschild. And so the Jewish cultural space for Frankfurt welfare and health care was growing. We documented the story and fate of this institution in the book Gumpert's Infirmary, which was published in 2019. For you as architects, a detail might be interesting. In 1929, the foundation rented the house for financial reasons to the city of Frankfurt to be used in case of epidemic. The city committed itself to substantial renovation of the villa. This renovation was carried out by Max Chetto, 1903 to 1980. Here. Today, new buildings stand on the sites of the former Jewish institutions, as you can see in the following slides. Only one memorial stone is in front of the former Gumpert's Infirmary. The text, the Gumpert's Infirmary was located here, a Jewish home for the sick and elderly, for frail, chronically ill, and severely disabled needy people, donated by Betty Gumpertz and Mathilde von Rothschild about 1900. Destroyed around 1940 by National Socialist expropriation and forced evacuation. In my presentation, I have focused on an area of only 300 meters, a Jewish space based on the ideals of welfare. But within the circumference of a further kilometer, there are additional social institutions, a soup kitchen, a kindergarten, another orphanage, a hospital, and an educational institution, to name only a few. On our website, we have an interactive city map on which all these institutions of health and welfare can be found. You find biographical locations in purple, where some persons lived. You find nursing locations in green, here, all over the city. You find care of the elderly institutions in blue, the city. You find childcare facilities like the hospital. You find monuments, cemeteries, and religious buildings in gray. I hope that I've been able to stir your interest and encourage you to explore the Jewish space in the east of Frankfurt. On our website www.jüdischepflegegeschichte.de you can carry out research and discover many more details. Thank you for your attention.